Here's a claim that's going to sound obvious once I say it, and controversial the moment you think about who it actually challenges. The people most qualified to teach a skill are often the people who spent the least time getting credentialed to teach it. And for a long time now, we've built the entire hiring system in higher ed backwards. So think about how it actually works. You get a PhD, you publish research that maybe a few hundred people in your field will ever read. That publication record becomes your proof that you're qualified to stand in front of a classroom. Meanwhile, the person who spent 15 years actually doing the job, running the business, building the product, managing the crises, often can't get anywhere near that classroom. Not because they don't know the material, but because they don't have the paper trail. There's a theory that explains exactly why that's backwards. It's called communities of practice from researchers Lave and Etienne Wenger. They studied how people really build skill, and it was never through lecture. Tailors in Liberia, midwives in Mexico, sailors learning to navigate the sea. In every case, the newcomer learned standing next to someone already doing the job, taking on small, real pieces of the work, making mistakes in front of someone who could correct them in real time. In so many words, it means that mastery doesn't come from being told about the work, it comes from being let into the work. You can already see this play out in American higher ed, just not evenly. Community colleges have hired this way for decades. They pull instructors straight out of the field because their students need someone who's actually done the job, not someone who's only written about it. Four-year universities built the opposite system, one where publication and pedigree outrank practice almost every time. I've taught on both sides of that line, and it's not subtle. Students lean in differently when the person teaching them has actually lived the material. Here's why this is surfacing right now. AI can already do the parts of teaching that the traditional credential was built to prove. It can deliver the lecture, it can summarize a textbook, it can grade the quiz. What it cannot do is hand you the judgment someone built over years of getting it wrong in the real world and learning from it. So, the very thing higher ed has undervalued for decades, lived practical experience, is exactly what's left standing as the most valuable thing a human teacher can offer. That doesn't mean credentials are worthless. Research still matters, and rigor still matters. But we've had the weighting wrong for a long time, treating the paper trail as proof of ability and hands on experience as some lesser substitute. AI is forcing us to notice because once a machine can do everything that credential was built to prove, the only thing left separating a good teacher from a great one is whether they've actually lived the material. That's not a small correction. That's a different person walking into the classroom. Someone who spent 15 years in the field instead of 15 years doing research. Higher ed is going to have to decide fairly soon whether it protects the old way of proving expertise or makes room for people who've earned it somewhere else. I'm Locke. These are the AI years. The future is moving fast. Let's make sure it's moving somewhere worth going.